Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Kaylin's Lens. I am really excited for today's episode because in this week's episode, we get to deep dive into all things law school, how I am surviving and coping this year compared to last, and what life is actually like studying in law. Because it's not like social media. Social media gives this whole polished outlook of all the neat notes, the tote bags, the coffee cups, all the like aesthetical things. But behind that, there is so much chaos. There is so much overwhelming feelings, and it's a constant state of confusion. The amount of times I've left a lecture more confused than I had started is immense. A lot of that actually happens in my equity and trust module, not like the other modules. But it's crazy how that still happens. First year, I was just being thrown into deep water, reading hundreds of pages, memorizing legal terms, and trying to complete assignments that I had absolutely no idea how to write. Like, what is Oscola? What is Harvard? What are all these referencing techniques? How do I structure an essay in a good format that the lectures want compared to A levels? Like, what is it? I was just in complete and utter shock, mentally, but also emotionally. I was still trying to figure out university life itself, living completely alone in a brand new city, the biggest city in the country. And I was still in that sort of like loneliness paradox going through it. And I gave everything to my degree. I gave nothing to my well being. And it wasn't until during that paradox that I realized law school isn't about perfection, isn't about productivity, isn't about the things that social media portrays it to be and making it looking polished. It's about actually learning how to sustain yourself amongst the chaos. So just take a moment and just reflect on the way that your studies are going right now. And are you managing your studies or are your studies managing you? First year for me, I was in survival mode. I had no routine, I had no system that was actually working, and I didn't have a strategy that was working for me. I wasn't networking, I wasn't attending any event. I was skipping open days and not even applying. I didn't even think I applied to a single one because all I was bothered about was mastering my coursework, was doing my work, was going to my part time job and my degree, and that was it. Nothing else mattered because I was under the illusion that law school was just about grades. It was just about this is what you need to get to that future job. This is all you need to focus on. But the truth is, it's not just about the grades. It's about preparation. It's about preparing for your future. Networking is a part of the course. It's not an add-on. You're studying law, but you're also building towards your future. You're creating lifelong friendships. You're investing. You're doing all these different things alongside your degree. It's not just about your degree. And one thing that I've made sure is to create myself a module, my own physical learning module that's all about my future, researching firms, attending events, editing applications, submitting applications, doing the Watson Glazer, which I'm so happy that I passed the Clifford Chance one, that I can put my all into the Spark application, but treating it like it's its own timetabled class. Because this shift taught me ownership. Because if you want something, you have to make space for it. So I really just want you to just compartmentalize. What module could you create in your life that allows you the ability to invest within your future? That allows you to move from survival to being able to create so much more with your life, to be able to spend and do so many more things, that allows you to invest in so many buckets, and that you're not just aiming for one bucket and that's your degree. You're aiming for all these different things in life. Because when you take those steps, you actually begin to realize you're becoming more fulfilled within yourself. You're embracing who you are. You're treating yourself as the priority. You're taking control of your life. You're taking control of every single part of you. Because if you don't do that, everything else fails. Everything else destroys. Everything else begins to fall apart. Because if you don't protect that one thing, which is you, you become the person that you just don't want to be. You become lost. You become confused. And if I didn't take those steps in that paradox, if I didn't begin the year that I've begun it so far in second year, and ensuring I have a routine, ensuring I have systems and I have a strategy, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, not burnt out, having so many things done already in the past 6 weeks, but also having so many more deep friendships, having so many more conversations with my family, and making sure that I make sure to spend at least once a week speaking to my mum and my dad and my brother. For me, I couldn't have ever imagined my life being like that, especially with the way that first year went. But I think an important thing that I have to speak upon is the whole myth of this whole 9 to 5 structure. Everyone speaks about, well, I'll do 9 to 5 and I'll study like it's a job, and then I'll be balanced, I'll be able to do everything. But the reality is law school does not work that way. And for me, I was so inspired by Emma Grede, who, I hope that's how I say her surname right, by the idea that life is a series of trade-offs. Because the truth is you can't have it all at once. If you pour your energy into one thing, something else is given. And you just focusing on that one thing, everything else falls apart. But for me, the thing that I have realized is the value that trade-offs have. And every week now looks different. Some days I prioritize going to events, and that means less lecture time. That means less attending a lecture. But some weeks I focus heavily on my work because maybe there isn't anything going on. But then also my social life. I focus so much on my social life and being able to maintain friendships that other things take a back seat. Because every decision I make is a conscious exchange. It's not a loss, it's a trade off. But the key to these trade offs is not feeling guilty about it. You miss a lecture for an open day like I did. I went to a HSF Kramer open day. I traded that short term learning opportunity of missing a lecture and a tutorial for a long term opportunity of understanding the value of a firm, but also understanding about the culture and every element of how that firm operates, to the deals, to the people that are actually working there. You can take a night off, but also realizing that you're trading productivity for rest and clarity. But that is okay. It's okay to have nights off. For me, I try and have Friday nights off just for rest in itself. Just to take a moment to breathe. I give myself that freedom. I give myself that ability. But knowing I still have things to do, but not feeling guilty about it whatsoever. But an important thing to know is you have to make sure that you're not just trading off all your lectures all the time. Because I realized that there is a direct correlation between attendance and results. Modules I had skipped during first year, I had weaker grades in. So the truth is that trade-offs only work when you become aware of what you're actually giving up, when you become aware of this decision is being traded off for this specific thing. So make sure to just think, are your trade-offs that you are making intentional or accidental? Are you just trading off that lecture because you can't be asked? Or are you actually trading off that lecture for a meaningful reason that is going to impact you? And because of that, and understanding the value of that, second year has felt completely different. Not because I feel like I'm finding it easier, but because I'm just smarter with the energy. First year I was drowning. This year I'm learning to swim. But I have done this through a structure that helps me stay grounded, and a structure that helps me stay resilient and energized. I always start my uni days at roughly around 8 a.m., whether that be listening to a podcast, whether that be on the tube, or whether that be at my desk, beginning emails, updates, creating a daily plan on top of my weekly plan, you know, starting my to-do list and starting the task that's in my calendar. And once I get to campus, I rarely want to leave the library or the law building because I'm so focused on getting my shit together and getting my work done. Because me doing this saves time later to do so much more in the evenings. Allows me to go to a networking event, allows me to hang out with friends, allows me to go to West End and watch a show, allows me to go watch the football, allows me to go to a concert. If I didn't do these things and have this rigid structure, I wouldn't be able to have lived the life I have done so far. I treat my free periods not as a scrolling time, not as a hanging out with friends time, but as a time to do my readings, to do prep, but also making sure I take mindful breaks because scrolling breaks are just energy leaks. I ensure to use the Pomodoro technique during that time, to have micro breaks, to have screen pauses, to go for walks, because this ensures that I maintain focus and I don't burn out. But alongside that, it's all about schedules. It's all about planning. I am so into my planning. It is unreal. I plan every element of my week, from when I'm going to go to the gym, to what I'm going to eat, to when I'm going to study and what I'm going to study, to when I'm going to attend an event. Because me taking these steps allows me to reduce anxiety, keep momentum, but also plan my week like a solicitor would, strategically and intentionally. So make sure to just take a moment, just think, is your system serving you peace, or is it just your productivity? Is it just you're not feeling it? Is it just not giving you what you want and being able to do what you want to do? But I also feel like the essence is all about trade offs, but it doesn't stop at academics and me trading off that time for that lecture and that event. It's also existing in everything. It's me staying in and to study. It's trading off time with social and socializing with people. Me skipping a gym session, which never has actually happened, to be honest with you. But if I was to, that would be a trade off for something else. But that thing has to be of value. Missing a law event to rest is a trade off, but it's a trade off that allows me to just rest and have clarity because you can have everything you want. You just can't have it all at once because it reminds me that my discipline isn't about rigidity, it's about flexibility. And it's that balance isn't a 50-50 thing. It's about intentional prioritization. And I think as well, right now, I'm in a comfortable position that I try to keep my weekends as law free as possible. Yes, on a Sunday, I do so many events in terms of planning my weeks and planning my meals and doing all that. But I also make sure that I do a little bit of revision because I don't have the time during the week. But it's a trade off. It's a choice that I am setting myself up for the week ahead. But it's also that I have a little bit of catching up to do, and that's okay because the goal isn't perfection, it's progress that is sustainable. So just take a moment and actually ask yourself, what are the trade offs that you want to take to make this version of you be the person that you are most proud of? Be the person that feels aligned with your interests. And I've spoken a lot about trade offs and how that has actually allowed me to do so much more with law. But the truth is law school is a long game. It's about sustainability mattering more than intensity. Law school is rough, it's rigorous, it's tough, it's long hours. But by being able to ensure that you have a regular sleep schedule, ensure that you go outside daily, ensure that you exercise for therapy, but not just pressure, making sure that you have a balanced diet. For me, that's eating 80% of whole foods because having fuel over comfort is everything. Protecting my downtime like I would be attending a lecture because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Learning that success isn't about doing it all, it's about doing what is worth doing right now. And that in itself is how you stay grounded. That in itself is why law school is tough. But by you making sure that you do the things that align with you making sure that you do the things that keep you grounded, gives you ultimate success in law school. So, how are you recharging your energy between the chaotic moments, between the chaotic weeks? How are you ensuring that you protect your soul, that you can really embrace law school, that you can do the rigorous structures and the rigorous activities? And I know I've focused a lot on about how to cope during law school, but I've not really spoken about what law school is actually like. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of reading. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna bullshit. I spend a lot of my week reading. First year, hated reading, didn't want to do it, entered law school, did not want to read whatsoever. I was like, you are joking. I don't want to be reading. I don't want to do this. This isn't me. Now I'm like, I love a book. I love to read. I'm like making sure I have a book with me anywhere I go. And it's literally just like fun. I don't know what it is about reading. It just gives me so many like hormones. It just makes me like, oh my God, this is so like what? Like I'm learning about this thing and there's this case. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is like everything that I could ever have dreamed of. And I feel like as well with that, it's a lot of typing, it's a lot of like writing, there's a lot of it to it. There's a lot of revision, there's a lot of cases, there's a lot going on. And like it's so chaotic. It's chaotic a lot of the time. A lot of the things you learn about right at the start have absolutely no sense whatsoever. Like I am lost in all my equity and trust lectures. I really just am because I'm like, what is going on in this module? What am I doing? How do I apply this? What does an essay even look like? Like, it's just so confusing. But I feel like having a structure has allowed me to just decompartmentalize it. Doing the readings is essential. Like, if I didn't do the readings, I would have absolutely no clue what is going on. I would just be lost all the time. It just doesn't make sense when I'm in a lecture room. With like criminal, with tort, that's all fine. With revenue, that's okay too. But equity interests, I just lose my mind all the time. I have no clue why. But it's okay because I come out of it, I do a read and I feel like there's so much more comfortable position. And I think it's the understanding as well that law is actually just like that whole long game. It's about little actions. It's about doing little steps that allow you to just breathe. It's about having that comfortability to know that it's rigorous and tough and that a lot of your time does get dedicated towards it. But it's understanding that it's not perfect. It's understanding that it's not the glam and the glitz that you once imagined because you watched Suits or you watched Annalise Keaton and the way that she had a big house and the way that she lives in How to Get Away with Murder. It's not any of that. It's hard. It's a lot of work. And I think a lot of people underestimate that. A lot of people don't actually think about the work that is required for it, the energy and time that you have to put in for it. It's a lot. But I also think it applies to any degree. Like, I know that there are some degrees out there like that are just wishy-washy waffle degrees that I just think shouldn't be degrees. Like gaming, like history. Like, what do you get from history? Like gaming, what I could literally just buy an Xbox and I'm gaming and design it. Like, what are you actually getting from some of the degrees? Like media. Like, come on, there are so many degrees out there that are just wishy-washy that people, in my opinion, want to just be like, yeah, I've got such a hard degree. You have not got a hard degree. All right. You haven't. Law is hard. Law's a lot of work. It's a lot of reading. There are levels to this. You're not putting in the same work that a law student would. You're not putting in the same work that a science or a medical student would, or a business management student, or a degree that actually pertains to that, a STEM subject, a computer science. You're not putting in as much work as these people. So I think there's that conversation that has to happen as well, because a lot of people misconceptualize, well, we're all at uni, we've all got it tough. No, not everybody's got it tough. You chose a degree that's easier, which is fine, and that's understandable, but you haven't got it the same that other students have. And I think that's a point that has to be made clear is that, yeah, I chose that degree, but understand that I have to do a lot more for my degree than you do for yours. And I think in essence, it really just gets to the point of that law school in itself isn't glamorous and it's about a growth journey. And I think as well, it's about learning all about the trade-offs that you make in that and in that comparison between two degrees. It's about creating boundaries, but also managing yourself like you are a professional within that profession. Managing yourself like you are a solicitor. Because some weeks you're going to thrive, others you're just going to be trying to get by. And that's the process. So I think it's really important to just remember that the goal isn't balance. It's just awareness. It's awareness that your life isn't going to be the same as someone on a slightly easier degree. It's not going to be the same as someone that's doing a degree that's a bit wishy-washy. It's not going to be the same as someone that isn't pursuing a hard career to get into. It's just not. But the more intentional you are with the trade-offs that you make in getting to that point, the more peaceful your progress becomes. And so I thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Kaylin's Lens. And I thank you for being able to just decompartmentalize every single thing that I have just said, because I know it was a lot. And I know I went on a bit of a slight tangent about wishy-washy degrees, but I think it's valuable. I think it's valuable about learning about the trade-offs that you make in comparison to somebody else that's not doing the same level of degree as you. Because I do, in my opinion, feel like there are different levels to degrees of work that has to be put in, as to time that has to be put in. But it's always remembering, and back to this, keep investing within your century and keep investing within yourself, because you making these investments allows you to progress and grow in so many ways. And that's the process, because you're forever going to be learning and changing. And if you do the things and realize the value of that trade-off that you're making, everything changes, everything improves. Your mindset shifts and the work becomes aligned with you. And you begin to reflect and realize that the degree that you had chosen, or the job that you have decided to pursue, or the job that you're in now, is a true reflection of why you did it in the first place. So remember, keep investing within yourself.